the caption came up, said, "You get through this. You've gotten through everything else." One of these kind of motivational things, you know. So I thought it was funny because really, in a way, that's how we experience life as happening to us, and that we have this experience of sorry, bring that mic a bit closer. We have this experience of kind of getting through situations, and in a more general sense, kind of getting through the day, almost surviving, getting to your bed, you know, without dying, or a difficult scenario, you get through it. And really, a different way to see it is that there's no you that things are happening to, and there's nothing to get through, and you're not moving forward in time, actually, that it's an appearance. All of that is an appearance. That's what's being suggested this evening. The difference between something that's negative, that's happening, that you need to survive and get through, and the sense of there being just full-on aliveness appearing as something uncomfortable, painful. It's indescribable, actually. But there is no, when there is no you that it's happening to, there's no sense of you having to get through something, and no sense of moving in that causal manner. And it's energy. There's just energy, and energy appears as something that's you no longer need to get through anything. There's nothing to get through. It's aliveness as pain, aliveness as discomfort, aliveness as pleasure, aliveness as joy. All there is aliveness, and that's what's being suggested here. That's the suggestion that's been made, is this communication is actually very, very simple. There's just whatever is appearing to happen. Sounds, sitting on a chair, whatever is appearing to happen there. Sensations in the body, maybe thoughts, maybe an emotion. And there is no you that any of it is happening to. They're not your thoughts. They're not your feelings. They're feelings, thoughts. It's not, it's sitting on a chair. It's not you sitting on a chair. And so on. So there's a resonance to that, what's been said there, and it can resonate. It can really be heard and be felt, and that's what this is concerned with. That's not a goal or an agenda or anything, but that sense, the contracted sense of being separate, that of the one who has thoughts, who sits, who speaks to others, can possibly collapse. And there's just speaking, sitting, thoughts, aliveness. That's all there is, actually. So what was yearned for is always just what's appeared to be. Nothing more, just what's appearing to be. Because this is nothing being everything. This is wholeness. So we'll see what appears to happen tonight.
Can I just speak?
Yeah, of course. Just jump
Yeah,
in. Hi,
just
Catherine. Hiya.
yeah, hi. Yeah, I just had a thought that life is not a thought, but it can include thoughts.
Mm. Um,
I don't know.
yeah, there's just energy, and energy appears as thoughts. The difficulty is really, and this is what's been illuminated here, is the apparent difficulty is a really lived sense of there being a you, an individual who thinks. So for most people, if you were to just ask people in general, if you said, are they your thoughts, or are they just thoughts that arise there? People, 99.9% of people will probably say, well, of course they're mine, because they're mine thoughts. And same with the emotion. It's I'm angry. There's not just anger. It's my anger, and so on. Um, and fundamentally, this is how this in the story. This is a reality. It's an accepted reality. There is an individual an individual you, and who has choice and control and all of these things. Um, and you have a life. So there's life, and you have a life. And then that's the illumination. There is no actual you. There never has been. And if there is that sense of being an individual, it's very dissatisfying, and very there's an agitation with it, and there's a yearning for what would maybe not conceive as wholeness, but there's a yearning for everything, because when there's a me or an individual, there's just little me in a big world out there, which I'm moving my way through, negotiating my way through. There's something about that reality. It's a subject object reality. Everything is real, and I'm seeing things and people, and there's something very dissatisfying about it. And that's the suggestion that's been made, is that the reason it's dissatisfying is it's a false addition. There is no you who thinks. There's just thinking appears to happen. There is no you who has a feeling of anger. Anger appears to happen. Um, it's very simple.
Mm,
It's very simple, and it's very direct, and when it's seen,
yeah.
it's very obvious.
Would you say that, like, um, if you feel your life is threatened, but it's not your life, but there can be, wouldn't that be most people living with that feeling that the world, you have to control everything in order to protect yourself, because the world outside that you're separate from seems threatening because of
Mm.
that's felt sense of separation.
Yeah, for the individual, there's a sense
Yeah.
of keeping the me safe, but that's in addition to the natural manner in which the an organism survives and protects itself. You know, so that will
Yes.
naturally happen.
Mm.
When if a car is speeding towards you, the body will just step out of the way. Um, the body will, it will trip, and the hands will come out and break the fall.
Yes,
It's
yes.
just things. This is just the way things are.
That's
Organisms protect themselves, but that's
yeah.
different to the individual. Then
Mm.
there's another layer then on top of that. The individual is really protecting its sense of self, its individuality, its sense of the story of me. So then um, there's a reality, a dualistic reality then, of a play of opposites from that sense of the fundamental dualism of me and life. And that's a different That's a different energy altogether. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. No, I mean, I can tell the physical response to a threat is usually immediate. There's no
Yeah,
there's no past or future, whereas the identity will have a past and a future, and the worry can be the threat is imagination, really.
yeah. It's it's that the individual is a model of reality. It's in this model of um, in a story of me, and that's being protected, and that story is made up of, say for instance, belief system, a kind of a worldview or an ideology or whatever, and that's why people argue so much. They're really fighting for their life, because their whole identity of who they are is in being a supporter of this person, or being a
Yeah,
believer in this religion, being a follower of this guru, being whatever the particular thing is. It doesn't actually really matter. um, and that's a reality they're living in, and they're protecting, and they're in that. Then it's pure dualism, and they're seeing people who are either supporting that or against it. So people have to be overcome and overpowered, or they're safe. They can be, you know, um, and that's the way the individual, like the individual. I guess another way to put it is, the individual just doesn't is just living in its own reality, and is protecting that reality, and protecting the me,
yeah,
and making the me more comfortable and safer. And that's why you see a huge rise in safetyism, in general, um, and people who feel that they like to feel that there's an authority that can keep them safe.
yes, yeah.
And that it's all reflective of that reality of feeling like an individual, where there's a higher, and there's a me that can be protected.
Mm,
As you saw in the pandemic, there was people who went into a bubble, and they did a lot. There's a lot written and about this, that there was a huge cohort of people who didn't want to come out of it. They didn't want full on aliveness with all its messiness, and meeting people
yes, that's
that they
right.
didn't like, and
Yes.
meeting all these
Mm,
people that they didn't share the same views as them or whatever, and they were quite happy to
mm,
remain in their little bubble. It's kind of it that for me, that kind of speaks a little bit about that whole
yeah, yeah.
mechanism of the individual who's just keeping safe in their bubble, and happy and half alive, happy and half alive. But it's very dissatisfying, and there's
Mm,
something there that wants to pull out of that, but the individual just wants to remain safe in it, because that's what it's doing. But the individual's an addition; it's a false addition. So what's yearned for,
mm,
without kind of meandering too much, because I feel like I am, uh, what's yearned for is very simple and direct, and actually just full on. It is actually full on aliveness. But the individual doesn't want full on aliveness. It's too much. It wants to know its version of full on aliveness, and its version is safe then, and it's what they know
yeah.
and can control in that then. So that whole mechanism is about maintaining
And
that and controlling that.
I guess that fear cannot leave because there's already nobody there to control it. So that fear is going to persist. You can have an outside control, but that everything will lose its permanence anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that
It's yeah.
it's just what's appearing to happen. It
Mm,
doesn't mean anything. It's it's an appearance, and
yes,
it's
yeah.
like that till it isn't. and it can be that on hearing this, like that sense of being separate, it can just appear to collapse, or it may not.
Yes,
And this could be just rejected, or maybe just not rejected, or somewhere in the middle, just kind of, okay, with that sense of being separate could appear to continue until physical death. But it's always going to appear to collapse anyway, because it's always just a story, whether it's on the physical death of the body or before then. And all there is just unconditional love. All there is wholeness appearing as that feels separate.
Yes.
Appearing as the individual. Yeah. So there isn't like there isn't an individual. That's what's being said. There's not an individual on this Zoom meeting that's going to fall away. Already is just aliveness, nothing being everything.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Oh, thanks. Someone says it would be interesting to get to know the data on how often the words I, me, mine are statistically used in a language compared to other words. I couldn't find anything on that. Yeah, my thoughts on the language are energetic. It's an energetic sense of separation. Really, it's an energetic contraction. Contraction is a word I've always liked when describing the individual, and because it describes also like this subject object kind of focus on things. It's like a contraction, and a knowing of, an awareness of, a consciousness of is also like a contraction. And there's me and the experience, me and the person, me and the object, and that's aliveness apparently contracting, and that's the way it appears for the individual. So the use of the word I and me and so on really don't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It's just symptomatic of that sense of separation. So there are people who there's some whole movement under Advaita Vedanta or non-duality that was like, I would say, for instance, the one appearing as Kenneth instead of I. That gets boring very quickly. Who cares? All you have is just someone then saying the one who appears as. It's still within the story of someone who can control, as if you can, talk your way out of it or something. We were talking about language last week or the week before, and we're saying Irish. There's some languages that the nouns are different, and the syntax of the language is a bit different, and is somewhat reflective of that of which we're speaking. Like in Irish, you would say Tá brón so the sadness is on me, as opposed to I'm sad, which is kind of more. It's a nice way of saying it, actually. Really, it's just you don't have, you are not sad, like when you think about it, but sadness is appearing to happen. So in Irish they would say the sadness is on me, and there's loads of examples of different languages. Yeah. Yeah, the words, I mean, yeah, it's just words, like when this is shared, it's funny. A lot of people say they heard it as much when there was no speaking, or even sometimes people heard it more. doesn't matter. It's there's no silence even. There's the appearance of it. Oh, hi, Larry.
Aloha.
You're
Um, speaking of
you're calling from Thursday night, aren't you?
Thursday morning,
Thursday morning.
yeah. Speaking of language, pretty sure the Japanese, instead of saying "I love you," they say "loving feelings," which is
Mm.
"ishitiru,"
Mm.
translate translators.
Yeah.
I was always fascinated by that.
Yeah, I mean, languages are very, very interesting, and
Mm.
it's when you learn another language, you're learning a whole different kind of worldview, really, and a paradigm of and way of thinking, and it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was I was watching a video on science again, um, and the quantum physics, I think it is. But when you touch an object, it's actually you're not touching it. It's two forces repelling,
Yeah,
two en two energetic forces repelling gives a feeling of a sensation of solidity.
that's right. Yeah, I heard that as well. Yeah. So
So when
it's an
you
illusion, like you're not that feels absolutely completely
solid,
real, solid.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw that somewhere
yeah,
else. I think it was in something under quantum physics that I saw that. Yeah, that
yeah.
you never actually touch anything
No,
in the way that you think that you do.
yes,
Yeah, 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 totally. I mean, that's this whole suggestion this evening is that what you take to be reality and what's accepted as reality is a story. It feels absolutely real, but it's and you will find this in many different realms now. As you said, science, all of that, um, uh, different perspectives now on time, space, everything. That it's an emergent kind of reality that we are appear to be operating in, which we take to be the true reality.
unquestioned.
And it's just an appearance. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So that there's a lot of talk about sitting on a chair, and there's not you sitting on the chair; it's just sitting on a chair. But you take it further, it's not even that. You're not even
mm.
sitting on. There's no one sitting on the chair because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
just two energies reacting.
yeah. There's just energy. There's just energy appearing to have a conversation, um, as two characters, Larry and Kenneth. And in the story, Kenneth is speaking to Larry, and it's a story that you can follow logically in a linear manner in time and space. So we can see that on the 10th of May, at 9:30 p.m. a conversation was held. And where was it held? It was held over the internet. So it's a spatial uh, reality. It's a time and space reality. That's a causal reality that's taken to be completely real. And it will feel like it doesn't really matter what you think of it. You can watch all the um, quantum physics videos you want, and they can blow your mind or not, whatever. But really, if you feel like an individual, you feel like an individual, and if you feel that that's your reality, that's what's appearing to happen. This suggestion, I mean, it's indescribable when that just is no longer, and it's remarkably ordinary. It's already the case.
Just comes back to energy.
And it's just beyond the mind, yeah. So you can think like, you have some kind of concept about quantum physics or whatever, and it's just another idea, really. You know,
it's also just energy.
Yeah, because all there is energy. Yeah. You know, that's why you hear sometimes in quantum physics that really it's more akin to poetry. You know, you can only you can only get so far with the logical mind or whatever. But it's not comprehensible by, like, it's not anything we think we know. It's just a model. That's all. Just a story. You know. And it doesn't need, that's the other thing, like, and because we kind of experience life experientially through knowing, and it's just this continual reinforcing of that, this real sense that we can know it and we will someday figure it all out, and it's gorgeously arrogant and ignorant, really, because we're just going around in our own little knowing, you know. This is completely unknowable. It does not need to be known. What's been yearned for, if you feel like an individual, what's actually been yearned for is totally beyond the mind. It's beyond any idea you can have of it.
And beyond the need of the mind, beyond.
Yeah, it's so simple and directly just whatever's appearing to happen. It is the sense of trying to understand something. It is that. It is a sense of clarity. And then it's also the confusion that is married to the clarity.
And then you just get back to the whole Zen thing of chop wood, carry water.
Yeah. I mean, some of the Zen koans, they speak to the ordinariness of this, certainly do. But yeah, they do, and loads of other different traditions point at the ordinariness of what's been illuminated here. The difficulty with them is they're usually interpreted and presented in a more dogmatic manner, in which they speak to somebody that can, like, the individual would feel like, all I need to do is focus on cutting wood and carrying water, you know, do the simple stuff, because everything is just heard through that veil of me, and it's applied to a me. And most communications in the story then are through that. Then they speak to the you who can do something to not be a separate you, you know. And then there are ones like this then that just illuminate that there already is no separate you. Yeah, but there certainly are loads of different you know, sayings, Zen and otherwise.
And actions, like when the Buddha held up the flower.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, there was no Buddha. You know, there was no Jesus. There's no Larry. So, I mean, these things are just, again, there's some sort of weight put on them, and as if there was a real person teaching, a real teaching that you can follow. So they're just continually turned into something for the individual to do then. It's remarkable when it's seen, because all of that just collapses. Buddhism is a story. All of these things are just stories. There's no reverence to any traditions, anything. It's all just a story. I went to a Zen Buddhist. What is it called again? Is it dojo? I might mixing it up with martial arts. Isn't that what do they?
Zendo.
Zendo. I was thinking it wasn't dojo. Dojo is kind of martial arts, isn't it? Taekwondo and jiu-jitsu and all these things. So I went to one, and I had been meditating, and this was all kind of apparently collapsed and didn't collapse, and all of that was going on, and I had been meditating apparently every day, and I went to this Zen thing, and we did our thing, and you sit a certain way, and he came along with a stick and a little bit of tapping on the shoulder and all this kind of stuff, and all very serious and formal, and at the end of it, he wasn't talking to me, he was talking to a chap beside me, and he said, the guy asked him something, or I can't remember exactly the context of the conversation, but he said, but there's nothing to get. And I just started laughing, because I knew at that point, it was seen clearly there was nothing to get. So I was like, that was the last Zen thing I ever did. And he was such a, what was so lovely about it was he was a Zen master, and he was saying there was nothing to get, but yet then there was all of this teaching,
Yeah.
and then it was a massive paradox, and it's not seen then.
Yeah. There's two major schools of Zen, and you were talking about the Rinzai school, which is a lot of instruction and doings and carrying on.
Yeah,
hitting.
that is the Rinzai. Yeah, that's right.
Whereas I was always drawn to the Soto school of Zen.
Yeah.
Which Dogen formed, and even went to the Aheiji temple in Japan. But with the Soto, it always appealed because it's just sitting.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's called Shinkentaza, which is just sitting. You're not sitting to get anything. You're sitting to express what's already.
Yes, yeah.
And
I mean, like, it's just what appears to happen. Whether it's whichever, there's no Zen. There is no Zen Buddhism, actually. It's stunning. It's just aliveness appearing as Zen Buddhism. So, and if someone appears to be doing that, that's just what appears to happen. It's not right or wrong or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think I listened to an Alan Watts lecture, and he's very articulate and knowledgeable about a lot of Eastern philosophies and religions and stuff, and he describes it quite the first Zen Buddhism was quite radical, really, I think. The origins of it, and then quickly then got taken over into dogma, because that's what happens in the story, there's a guy, Larry, he says this, and it grows legs. It's like a Chinese whisper, and then it's Larry's 10 Commandments. We're living in our lives according to the rules of Larry.
Yeah, they call it putting legs on a snake.
Yeah, and that's the way things work, And then we're in this reality of special, not special, and we dearly want Larry to be this special guru that will save us all. So then we all hold him up as Larry, Larry, and that's the way it works. No matter how much Larry says, "Oh, fuck off, will you? I'm not, You're not listening to what I'm saying. Piss off.
Yeah.
You know, the life of Brian. I'm not the fucking Messiah. Well, only the true Messiah would say he's not the Messiah, you know?
Yeah.
You know, all of that stuff. So, yeah, it's so gorgeous when it's seen, though. It's just such a loss of everything. Everything just collapses, which is terrifying to the individual who may have all of these very important beliefs and, you know, things that they've been following or ways they feel they've been living their life. Spiritual kind of identities or personas or whatever, and all of that, it's so gorgeous. Everything just falls apart, and all there is just energy appearing as that. Everything is completely empty, and emptiness is fullness, is unconditional love, and that's what's been pointed towards at the heart of a lot of them. But then you have the dogma.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Cher. Hiya. You're muted, I'd say. Or you don't appear to be muted, but I can't hear you anyway. Maybe just putting your hand up, are you? Saying hi. My sign language isn't great, Cher.
It's not because of his earphones, is it? Sometimes that
Don't know.
seems to be the problem.
Don't know. It's him anyway. It's not me, so I'm happy enough. It's not me, it's you. I can't help anyone. There's no help on offer here. Even with stuff like unmuting yourself, people say, I don't know how to mute myself. So I don't know, don't ask me. I've only been doing Zoom for about 3 years now. I haven't figured that out yet. I can open it up and start it, and that's about it, and speak.
Hi, Kenneth.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hazam.
Yes, Hassan. Are there still spaces for the Prague meeting?
Oh, yeah, there are. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So there's a
No.
link on my website. If you go to that, you can sign up.
Yes. Yes, I saw that. I'm in Canada right now, and I have kind of like limited financial resources. And every day this week, I've been half of the day looking at tickets to come there, and the rest of the day thinking, there's nothing to fall away. So why
Yeah.
should I?
Yeah.
And yeah. Last night I was dreaming about walking in the streets of Prague. It's very beautiful. I've been there before. And on my way to your meeting, but I keep going and I don't get there.
Ah, that's lovely. Yeah. God, if you flew over from Canada, I'm sure you'd find the meeting. We'll send out a search party for you if you don't show up. Yeah. It's funny because when I was 18, I jumped on a bus in Amsterdam and I ended up in Prague, and I walked around the city with a little bit of money in my pocket, and I have no clue what I was doing, and it was the
Yeah.
best adventure. Nobody spoke English. It was 1997,
Yeah.
and nobody spoke English, and I hadn't even changed my what currency was. Um,
Corona, they say.
no, it was a Dutch guilders or something. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, I hadn't changed my currency. I had no money, and I was wandering around. But it was, yeah. There you go. Just it was an adventure. Yeah, into the unknown.
Yeah.
The beer was cheap. You couldn't spend your money.
Yes, it's cheaper than water there.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so let's see what appears to happen. You'll either appear to book flight, we'll be wandering around together,
Yes.
or you won't.
Yes.
It's so gorgeous because it's so wonderful. Really, it's just amazing. There's just what's appearing to happen, and there's no Prague. There is, everything is and isn't. And that's when I say things like there's no Prague. Like that, obviously there's a Prague. You know what I mean? There is a
Yeah.
Prague. There's a city called Prague. I'm aware of that, and I could tell you the amount of kilometers it is from my nearest city and how long it takes to get there and all of that. But this is the illumination that everything is also unreal, because it's nothing appearing as everything, and when that's seen, it's just everything is then nothing is everything, and everything is new.
Yeah.
And it's everything collapses from that viewpoint of separate objects and things and time and distance. It's just an appearance. So life appears as a meeting in Prague, and you'll appear to attend or appear not to attend, and none of it has any significance or meaning. It's beautiful. So if you came, it would just be what's appearing to happen. It wouldn't be special or not special or anything. And if you didn't make it over, that would just be what's appearing to happen. You wouldn't miss anything, because there's just aliveness, and aliveness is like this is as you know, a Zoom meeting, right? It's aliveness as a Zoom meeting, but that
Yeah.
aliveness also Prague's and Canada's and everything. It's one oneness appearing as that. And once that's seen, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, some years ago when I was in Prague, actually, that was kind of seen, there was this afternoon that, it's impossible to describe what was happening, but there was this unbearable freedom. It was so much that I just felt like running away to an addiction, and that addiction kind of started and then stopped like 3 months ago again. and it was a clear running away to the story or something.
Yeah.
But I guess what the message is saying is that even I didn't do the running away, or there was no one running away from the freedom. It was the freedom running away from itself.
Yeah, you could say that definitely. Yeah, it's another way of saying what you said there is just it's just what appeared to happen, and there is just what's appearing to happen. There's just aliveness appearing as that.
Yeah.
But it is like, it certainly is freedom. Excuse me. Freedom like is too much for the individual who lives in knowing and lives in, you know, has this sense of me. The freedom that's yearned for is too much.
Yeah, it had no place for me.
It can't be held. It has no place for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There is no place for you in it. So what was sensed there was your death, actually, I feel, from the way you're describing that.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, what was sensed was your death. And there's that, you know, yeah. So that's just an illumination that it's just the illumination that you're not there, which to that feels there is terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, you're afraid you're going to die, and then you appear to die, and it's seeing that there never was anybody. So that's the big joke.
Yeah, even now my body is shaking in fear.
Yeah, just aliveness. Yeah. It's just aliveness. Yeah, it's just body shaking in fear, in whatever. Yeah, it's totally energetic, this communication. And it is about that full-on aliveness that the individual just cannot cope with that. It wants the model. It wants its version of aliveness, which it knows, and it's safe in that then.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what apparently happens, yeah. And if we're in Prague, I'll get the beers. And then when we're in Canada, you can get the beers. Because they're 10 times the price. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much. It's really lovely to see you. I'm just going to put a link. I appreciate contributions a lot. Keeps the whole thing apparently going. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. And I have the links up on the website for the virtual attendance for Prague anyway. So, all right. See you guys.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks, guys. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.